Hey, welcome back to our YouTube tutorial with Flutter. And today we're going to continue running Flutter. And today I'm going to focus on how to use Flutter documentation to achieve certain job with Flutter. So as always, we start with creating new pad and create OK. Then choose Flutter as a type of new pad, then create. And this is going to create a new pad. As always, we do this boilerplate, then we create our own application. And because at the end of these tutorials, we'll be creating Flutter clone, Slack clone. I'm going to call it Slack clone, as this is an application we'll build at the end of the tutorials. So I'm going to create a class, call it Slack clone. And as always, I'm going to extend it to a stateless widget. And as always, as I extend the stateless widget, it's going to ask me to overwrite the class within the stateless widget. And this is going to have the time type of widget. And the method is called a build. Take the build context, pass it a context, then the time type of build. As always, we know that we return the material type as our preferred application type, and we pass a home there to be a container. So now in this tutorial, because we will be focusing on how to use Flutter documentation, which is the essential part of developer in general, you should be aware of how you can use a documentation that is available to you. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to create a form, but because I know how to do it, but I want to show you how you can do it using the Flutter documentation. So the way you do it, you write Flutter, then you write a form. So because I know I want to use a form. So here they are going to give me uh, different type of documentation. I can click one that reference the flutter.dev website. Click on one that points to forms. It's going to take you to exact examples of how you can build the form using Flutter. So here I can choose one with the form with validation. Then I can go to the bottom to see the example. Because as for now, we know how a widget is and where widget can be copy pasted if we have the code samples. For example, now we know that we are extending the widget here, which is something familiar. And now we know that we are overwriting a class method here. This is something familiar, but that's not something you want. Something you want specifically is a form. So here the second widget that is extending the state, which is the class defined above. Then we have a form that we are looking for here. And this is where we're going to put our code here. So it is very simple to copy this code here and go to your code base and put it as a child of a widget here. So the main concept of Flutter is to make sure that everything is a widget, and a widget can take a child or children. So for example, a container here is taking a child, and a child is a form, and this form is taking multiple properties, and one of those properties is key. So now we have a key here, form key, which is not defined. So we need to define it within this class. So what I'm going to do here is to create a form key. And this form key we have, I can also copy paste it, a copy from this class here. So what is this form key is going to help us is make it final here because it will not be instant, it will not be nationalized again. So this form key is going to help us to control the form state. This is like validation. Like if someone enter the password, we need to make sure that we, after the validation, we can show some errors, or if it is successful, we can also show the validation message on the form. So now let's go back to the documentation and see what is going on here. Then we know now we can add the field here as the second step. So you can read all this documentation here of how you can do that, but I'm going to skip those boring documentation. So, but you can read it for your own sake. So now go to the second code snippet that is required, which is the form field here. We know that this code we have pasted here, which is a form, take multiple or take a chart, and within a chart we can pass a column. And remember from the previous tutorials we have seen that a column can take more than one widget, and one of those widgets we want to pass is text form field. And this is where with this widget someone can give us the, let's say if it's an email, if it is a password or any other form field that a user wants to give information from. So I'm going to paste that form field first. Then it has a simple validation here. So here we're taking whatever that is given from that form, take the value of it, which should be a string, then make sure that if this value is empty, then we can return some sort of validation text here to notify user that he need to enter some text within that field. So if you run the application again, then we are going to see the input with ready for a user to correct some information from a user. So give it a second, then we can see the output. So while we are waiting for the output, we can also go within documentation and see the next step of creating a form. The third step is to create a button, because at the end of the day, or at the end of your application, a user want to give you information, and there is nowhere he can give you information without the user clicking somewhere to give you the information. So the scenario is like this. A user enter a form, fields, like give you the emails, give you the password, then click a button to submit the form. And that's what we are going to do here on the third documentation here. So we can pass within the column. Remember that column take more than one widget. So we can come here and see where the form is. So it's clear that a form, here we have a column. Within a column, we have already inserted the text form field. So you can see where the text form field is ending. So we can put the comma there and put the second widget. So this second widget is going to be elevated button. Elevated button is going to give us the button to click on. So once a user can click on that button, you can submit the form field. So if we run our application again, we can see the output. Okay, we can see the output here, but the form is not visible. So we need to make sure that the form can be visible on the screen. But if you can see this debug here, is just to make sure that the app is visible. Let's put the color here to be the color red so that we can see where the problem is coming from. If you run it again, then we are going to see the red is filling here, but the form is not visible. So that is a bug that we can fix. Let's keep reading the documentation. So now let's see. So let's see this interactive example and see what is going to happen if we run the application. Sorry. So it seems like this part cannot run, but there's no problem. You can see why the form field is not working the way we expect it to work. Why the form field is not visible. Let's go step by step with the documentation and see why the form field is not visible. So let me Google like this. So let me try to decorate the form field because sometimes it may be required to decorate the field so that it is visible on the screen. Remember, we are using the web platform, which can be a little bit tricky compared to the mobile platform. So we need to be aware of that. So let's make sure that we need a form that we need is like this one that you see on this Stack Overflow. So I think the best way we can do that is just to make sure that we we cut the code here, we cut the container, you see where the container is, and make sure you go to the bottom and you see where the container is ending. So make sure you cut that code and make sure you put within a container scaffold. And scaffold take a body, and within a body you pass that code that you pasted. So I think scaffold is to F, then run an application again. I think for now we can see the form field on the screen. So let me remove this red color, but it is still compiling again. Let's make sure that our code has no bug at all. See, okay, let me see. Is it scaffold? Scaffold is like this. Let's try to compile again. Now that we see that our form field is visible. So now the issue was that in order for the form to be visible on the screen, you need to make sure that you put the form as a child of scaffold. That is another tip that we saw today. But more importantly is to make sure that how to use the, the documentation and Stack Overflow to solve your problem. So now we need to have a form like this one here. So we need a form like it is a sign-in that is looking like this. So let's see what we can modify on our form so that it is much more visible. So let's go to the bottom and see what we need. I know that we need to decorate a form. If you see this form field here, it is not decorated so that it looks like that one we are looking here. So the the end result should look like this one. So let's go to the bottom and see what is decoration used here to achieve that. If you see the decoration that we have here on form fields, let's scroll down. We have form field. Then let's take this decoration property that we have here. So let's come to our form field here, insert the form field and put decoration. And we have different type of decoration. So we can come here to input decoration and go to Flutter documentation just to check how the input decoration works within Flutter. As always, use the official documentation in order to achieve anything you want. So you can see that we can go to this declaration of the class, input decoration, then it shows us what we can achieve with that decoration. So if we see the sample code here, we can scroll down and see the decoration that we can use on at every level. So let me copy this code here and go back to the first here, then remove this code and put it there and put the comma. So what did we do here? Within our form text form field, we have a property called decoration. So this decoration take different decoration classes, but one of those classes is input decoration. So within input decoration, you can say that you need an icon to show on your input. You need a hint text. This is a text where a user will see that maybe you are requiring them to enter the email and the hypertext and so on. It has different properties including the borders. If you want the border to look the way you want it, you can change it. If we run the application again, we see that our form field has already changed and it has this nice icon at the left side of our widget. But our input is not visible because it is starting on top. So what we can do here, we can see where this body is starting, this chart of scaffold is starting. You can see that everything is within a container. So if we go where the container is closing, you can see it that it is here. So it is this one, this container. So I can come here and cut it and put within a padding. So what is a padding is going to give us? It's going to allow us to position this container on the screen where we want it. So then pass a chart and paste the container that we cut there. Then let's see how we use a padding. Remember always write padding, then put Flutter. Then this is going to take you to the Flutter documentation on how you can use padding. Go to that padding class. And this is going to take you exactly where you need to be in order to understand how padding works. But for now, let me paste, copy this padding and put it inside here. That is what was missing in order to use padding. You need to at least call this padding property and give the age incent or as 16. What this code is going to do is going to give a little bit space around on every edge of 16 pixels. If we run it again, you can see that on top and left and bottom, we are going to have 16 pixels, which is going to give us the space around this widget so it is more visible. If we run again and we wait, we should see the same result as I'm saying. So you can also read more about how this padding is working here and other properties that you can pass to a padding property so that you can achieve design you want to achieve. So it is still compiling, so let's wait and see the result. So with padding you can pass different properties like let's see what properties you can call here. These are the properties. You can pass a chart and the chart is going to be any type of widget. you can pass a key, you can pass padding, which is going to be age accent. This is how you want the padding to take effect on every edge of the widget. You can also pass type, which is rarely used. So you can also, I think you will not use those properties, all of them. The main properties we'll be using is padding and child. So let's see if it has compiled. Let me compile it again. So now you can see that we have our widget is much more visible. So let's make it like 46 and run it again. Now you see that our button is visible because we have said that on top, not on top of this widget and on left of this widget and on right of this widget, we should have a space of 46 so that this widget is much more visible. So now you can see that uh, every time um, every time I write, sorry, okay, no, so I think we have covered much in this tutorial, how to use the tutorials, the documentation from the Flutter website, how you to use those documentation, and how also we can create a form. I will try to recreate this tutorial in the next coming video so that you can get the skills I shared from this video. Always give me the comment, let me know how I can improve, and also share to your friends so that we can have more Flutter developer in Rwanda and in Africa in general. I'll be happy to have a community. Thank you so much.